Hello and welcome to today's edition of Route 664, The Road to Human Kindness. I'm Les Winston, I'm your host, and I'm also the national spokesperson for socialsocharity.org. That is a project of the Endow American Network Foundation, which is intent on changing the way things happen in America. We are very interested in getting everybody interested in philanthropy, proper philanthropy. If you're a taxpayer, you're a philanthropist. Don't think you aren't. You're just involuntary. We'd like to make you a voluntary philanthropist, somebody who is informed about the tax code, somebody who's informed about all of the tools that can be used that are provided in the tax code. So we've embarked on this mission of getting you to know Route 664. Route 664 refers to Section 664 of the tax code. That's something we want you to become very familiar with. We're also very interested in having the youth involved in our project because that's where the future lies. And we're joined today by a very interesting young man. His name is Tianlan Deng. Tianlan Deng. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. He was born in Shanghai, one of my favorite cities in the world, in China.
How are you, Les?
Good to see you.
Pretty good.
I was reading a little bit about your biography, and of course, you're coming from a different world to the United States, and there's a big difference between the two philosophies, and you try and express that in your art, I believe. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, that's fair.
Okay, tell us a little bit about your work, what you're striving to accomplish with your fantastic art.
So I'm an artist as well as interior designer. So I do most of my work is do installation, and my topic is explore some kind of education, both in America and China. As you know, I live in China, in Shanghai for 20 years, and I go through their education system. And then later I studied in United States, so I have a both view of of these two education system. And most of my work.
How different are they?
I want to say that Chinese education system is more rigid. It's like a more disciplinary, behavior expectation very high. United States, I want to say there's all kinds of style of teaching. In college, usually you have more freedom, but recently it just coming to my attention that for example, like New York public school, the way they teach their kids is actually similar like the Chinese, system
Really?
as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's a change. Yeah, is that good or bad?
It's I actually a little bit concerned about that because the education system in China is directly authorized by the government. It's more like a de-individualized process. You have you have a really restrict behavior coding or something. For when I come here and try to do a project with the public school in New York, I feel that some of the public school, especially in African American community or Latino community, they do similar things like a test-based, heavy text-based, high, behavior control of the kids. And the most interesting things to me is a lot of these kind of public school has a feeling of prison. When you get inside, you have a metal detector. This is the window is like a covered with the bar.
I'm not laughing because that's funny. I'm laughing because it's not for laughing. I'd be crying. That's not the way we really want the schools to appear. Yeah,
Right.
we want a little bit more freedom there. So I know you've been working on a project. It's called the Community Project.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little bit about that because it's very interesting in the use of space.
Yeah, so based on the topic I'm talking about before, I really, as an interior designer and also installation artist, I'm trying really hard to try to alleviate these kind of prison-like feeling in school. So currently, I was collaborate with the Far Rockaway High School in down to the Jamaica Bay in New York City. and I'm trying to do an installation, which is low-tech hanging sheets with projector, projecting image onto it. And it's going to be set up in their auditorium, which is will create an immersive, environment for the students to come inside and see this kind of projection, interact with this kind of projection. Yeah, that's the picture, and I believe it will really, change the atmosphere of the, of the prison-like atmosphere for the public school. And it also offered them a really good chance to experience a new way of studying. So yeah, this is one of the backstage of the auditorium.
How does it change their way of studying? Just out of curiosity, what is the projection that you're putting on these sheets?
Yeah, the projector is it could project the image, which is the teacher one. And normally students are sitting behind a desk and listen the teacher to give something to to teach. This project, the biggest goal is try to broke these kind of traditional way of teaching and let the students walking while learning. It's pretty much like an exhibition experience.
Yeah, so it's experiential as opposed to just rote learning or training by memorization. You're actually teaching.
It is teaching.
They're actually learning at a faster rate by what you're displaying. That's a fantastic idea. How did you come to that?
Like you said, my artwork explore the teaching and topic, the education problem topic, and also I'm a interdisciplinary artist. I doing a lot of projector with hanging sheets and try to create space or experience for audience. And at this time, I just trying to do it for the students as well.
Is this something that can be duplicated in other places fairly easily, or is this going to be an experience that these students alone will have as a result of your art?
That's a really good question. I try my best to make this one as a low-tech, installation. So it's a temporarily installation. It can just simply hang the sheets and do some, creating space with their, cheap projector. The cheapest projector only at $100.
Okay.
So it could be duplicated in multiple public school. And another point for doing this is I feel that this kind of installation is not only for students. When a public school have this kind of temporary exhibition, it will become a community center for the community around the school as well. So, for example, the parents of the students can come to the school, during weekend or something or holiday. I feel that's a really good way to connect the community as well. So,
well, we have a project called Safe Schools, Great Schools as part of the Endow America Network Foundation's one of the projects that we've been working on for a while. And improving schools is important. And I think that if you can actually make it comfortable for people to go to school and not feel like, I'm not laughing because it's funny. I just tell you, it's what you said really strikes home. Kids should not be going to a place that feels like a prison. They should be going to a place that feels like a learning experience. And parents, when they go to the school, it's like they're going into the torture chamber. And if you can open up that to the community as a whole, that's a great accomplishment. My guess is Tianlan Deng, right?
Tianlan Deng.
Tianlan Deng. Sorry, I apologize. Tianlan Deng. And I really appreciate your being with us this morning and give us insight into ways that things can be changed using art and using the creative ability of folks like yourself. Thank you very much for joining us on Route 664. Appreciate it.
Thank you for interviewing me. Thank you. It's a great experience to talk to you, Les.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, well, we're joined now by a very good friend of mine and a fellow chartered advisor in philanthropy, a professional philanthropic advisor in Boca Raton, Florida. Richard Newman was a practicing CPA, worked with a very dear friend of mine, Mike Melnick, who's a dear friend for many years, passed away and moved on, but think about him all the time. Richard, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm okay.
Any feedback today, like versus like we had the other day, other than me chatting?
Well, what I wanted to do is chat with you a little bit about young people. I know that you were involved in one of the projects in Palm Beach, which was Philanthropy Tank. Is that still operative?
It is. As a matter of fact, a buddy of mine by the name of Michael Kohner is very involved in that. And over the last couple of years, I've been less involved in it. But it was an outgrowth of the CAP class that everybody felt so motivated to continue and integrate this in schools up there. And they've been very successful with that.
Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
You know, I really have not been involved from the beginning, but the essence was to create a curriculum for kids to be involved in philanthropy and make it more of a family type of strategy.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's more so significantly for me to talk about the specifics. I think it'd be very difficult.
Okay.
We probably should have Michael Kohner get on a show with us one time.
We could do that. We could do that.
And I'm seeing him Monday. You'll ask him.
Okay. Great. Tell us a little bit about your practice. I know that you were a CPA for many years, and then you evolved. So tell me a little bit how what you're doing now with your clients.
I evolved. Wow. If you talk to CPAs, you say that
I've been revolving. Yeah.
Well, if you talk to CPAs who continued, they say I escaped, but that's another story.
Okay.
It's very interesting. It's just 30 years ago that I sold out to Mike, who you just referenced, and even said it ain't for laughing, it's for crying. Your joke before. I felt at that point in time in my career, Les, that I was a record keeper and I was doing planning, but I never felt like I was in front of my clients. I felt like I was at Epcot. And the guys that used to be in the French Foreign Legion outfits cleaning up in cigarette butts. Yeah. I felt like I was going to put that uniform on one day when I came into the office. Okay. But that probably would have taken Mike and made Mike really jump out the window. We're on the first floor, so it would have been problematic. Okay. And I had seen quite a few people when I was younger. This is 30 years ago. I was 35 years old at the time. And I said, there's a lot of guys out there, people in the business I'm in now, that are really good salespeople, but they don't have a lot of integrity. They don't have a lot of knowledge. And I said, if somebody like myself, who did have the technical skills, I think a relatively good salesman, I could convey complex issues to people, that I think I'd be much more effective on this side of the balance sheet. And 30 years ago, I made that switch, and my practice has been targeted over the last 30 years and has evolved. I pretty much get introduced to clients through their professional advisors, their CPAs, their lawyers, their financial advisors that they're not in the life insurance business, because I'm not an investment guy by any stretch of the imagination. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so what I've tried to do is work with professionals who realize the importance of life insurance, but it's not the only strategy. Okay. And as a result, what we've done is over the first probably 18, 20 years in the business, was really working with clients and reducing tax and creating liquidity and we're all strategies. My philosophy has always been is yes, life insurance is an answer. It's not the only answer. And how do we integrate that with the planning of your clients?
Okay. And when you got the charter, you have a chartered advisor and philanthropy designation. So as a professional philanthropic advisor, how has that designation changed the way you view your relationship with your clients?
Well, my perspective of my clients is my job to look under every stone to help them. Mm-hmm. And prior to getting the designation, I always kind of felt philanthropy was going to the big balls and seeing who dressed up nicer, and people were making contributions in that vein. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily to further a cause, but it was part of the social strata. And once I entered the class, I realized that there really are a lot of people that care and have feelings for more people more than themselves. And it did a couple of things here. The client that I like to work with is the client that cares about more than themselves. And the client that I really like to work with recognizes that it's not just themselves and their family. They didn't make all this money without selling products to the rank and file out there. And they realize that their kids are being brought up in an affluent environment.
Mhm.
The kids I had a Chevy Vega that I worked to get myself after my father passed away, and these kids have Testarossas and Porsches. You should see the parking lot at Spanish River High School over here. That's the public school.
I believe it.
And it's hard to create that psychological recognition that everybody's not somebody who lives in Boca or Aventura and Turnberry and South Beach. And I realized that part of our job of looking under every stone is really understanding what our clients' desires are. And I never leave an engagement without discussing topics that are outside of what they thought about. You're making some contributions. Why are you doing that?
Mm-hmm.
And have you thought about involving your children in philanthropy and using that as a basis going forward? Because when you look back over time, the families that have money today are the ones that had included philanthropy in their family structure.
They've been able to pass their values on to their kids. Is that what you're finding?
I believe it's correct, and I've been lucky enough to have some clients who are extremely philanthropic in their desires, and all I hope is that my goal, I think, is to help them recognize that by no way am I philanthropic consultant to work with families on a very minor level like that. Mm-hmm. But it's my job to help motivate them to look in that area. And once they do and they design what they'd like to do, then it's our job to go back to the drawing board and make it as efficient financially for them as we possibly can.
And that's what we're hoping. That message is exactly what we want to get across, is that there's more than one way to look at things, and including philanthropic planning in your process helps, especially if you're a trusted advisor as you are, Richard, working with your clients. My guest is Richard Newman. He is a professional philanthropic advisor in Boca Raton, a good friend, and thank you very much for joining us. Is there something that you like to look forward to every day when you get up?
I love the challenge of our business. When I was practicing accounting 30 years ago, when I get up in the morning, I knew what I was going to do at 7:30, 8:30, 9:30. I just figured if I could remember who to bill the time to.
Okay.
Every day is a little different. Every client's a little different. I enjoy interacting with intelligent people who care. And I will tell you, and I enjoy interacting with the lawyers and the CPAs and the financial advisors and the teams of consultants for our clients. And I like hearing about everybody's story about how they've done well. I'm working with a woman in Oregon, Portland, Oregon, of all places. I have a lawyer that I work with quite a bit out there. She has a client that she referred me that now we're in a second round of doing some work for. She came to the Philippines with nothing. Mm-hmm. And from the United States, unfortunately, her husband passed away shortly after she got here, and now she has $100 million worth of real estate.
Oh my gosh! Wow!
And virtually all unencumbered. We're working with her. She has a couple of kids, and to hear that story of success coming here from this country, but also we were recently out there and we had dinner, and to hear her story about what it was like in the Philippines versus what it's like here, and her desire on a very subtle basis to help people back home that not getting any tax deductions for, but she feels very blessed to have the success that she has here. And she feels compelled to help people who need the help in those areas. So to hear stories like that of somebody who came here that and was able to make such a success of herself and took what her husband did up to that point in time and quintupled it after he passed away and raised a family, is an extremely enlightening type of client to work with. And yes, she lets my jokes less too.
Explanation of human kindness, expression of human kindness, and I appreciate the difference between our cultures all over the world. And we had our guest earlier was from Shanghai and expressed the same kind of thing. We live in a phenomenal country, and we have the right to do these things that are given to us by the tax code, and people need to know how to do these social charity devices, and folks like yourself, Richard, and myself, and other professional philanthropic advisors can help them do that. We want to spread the word about social charity and using it to better the country and better the world, and first you better yourself, you better your family, and you better your own situation, and then you make the world better. Thanks for joining us this morning, Richard, on Route 664, the road to human kindness, and look forward to seeing you soon out on the golf course, maybe.
That'll be great. Look forward to it, Les.
Take care, Richard.
Bye-bye.
Have a great day. All right, my next guest is in studio with us. This young man has been working with us on our Endow America Network Foundation project, particularly in the role of bringing to life charity and the wizards of charity. My guest is Guido Gonzalez. Good morning.
Good morning, Les. Thank you for having me here.
Yes, it's a pleasure to have you. I always appreciate the phenomenal talent of young people and their creativity, and so we've brought a lot of that into the Endow America Network Foundation projects, and we're very, very pleased to have you on board. I just always wonder how your thought process works when you start to do these illustrations as you've been creating them for charity and the wizards. What motivates you in that vein? How do you get started on a project like that?
Well, Les, like anything relating to art, writing, drawing, you always have to start with an idea.
Okay.
Obviously, in certain regards, like if you have a client and you're a designer, you always want to ask them, like, what is it that you want from this? And that always kind of depends based on who your client is. Like sometimes they'll like give you like a whole list of like what they want. Sometimes they'll be very lenient. Like you, for example, you've been very lenient with my creative process, and
I want you to blossom. I want you to give me the best that you've got I'm renting your brain. So when we rent your brain, we want the best to come out of it.
Trust me, this little baby bird's going to fly out of that nest and spread his wings and soar.
Good.
But not too close to the sun, not like Icarus.
Okay.
We all know how that ended.
Yes, not well.
But,
so go ahead.
No, but like I say, it all starts with an idea. You have to have an idea and you have to stick with it. If you think it's a really good idea and you can build from that, just go for it. And of course, once you have that idea and once either you thought it out some more or do some outlines, do some rough draft sketches, discuss it with, whoever you're partnered with, if it's not like a solo work. Like the best way I can put it is sort of like, once I have that idea, I'll just sketch, honestly.
And whatever comes out.
Yes, whatever I like.
I doodle. Is that like doodling?
In a way, yeah, doodling. It's weird because I'm like currently doing my master's, and it's a lot of you learn that time is like one of the most precious commodities that you can have, and a lot of the times it can get scarce. So you have to really think on your feet because you have to like think out of a lot of things, like what color it's going to be, if it even is going to be in color, who the main focus is going to be, where it's going to be taking place, if it's going to be like one panel or multiple panels, like how elaborate do you want it to be? Mm-hmm. So for charity, creating charity, one thing I know is that in order to create like a brand character, you got to make them iconic. You got to make them recognizable.
Right.
And of course,
charity is being shown right now on our screen. When this is going to be replayed on the radio, it's not going to be able to see that, but they can listen to it. But they can also go to our YouTube site, and they can go to our website, socialcharity.org, and they can see the chapters of charity as she moves through changing the world. So you're a student right now at FIU?
Technically Florida International University and the Miami Ad School. It's a joint program that I'm doing for copywriting. So, and that's like about 3 years. And of course, you're learning about all sorts of other stuff. Right now, I'm starting off with market research. So that's like data collection, understanding target audiences.
And what's your ultimate objective? Where do you see yourself heading professionally?
Professionally, I would love to be a writer one day, like a professional writer, maybe write some best-selling novels or work in television and film, write some screenplays, some scripts. And of course, personally, I also believe that if you want to really succeed and do what you really love, you got to have some savviness in the business world, especially with finances.
Mhm.
Being my age, I know the beard might fool you, but I'm 22.
No, your beard looks 22.
I've been mistaken for 30. So it's like part of my soul dies a little bit. Yeah. But you have to understand how money works.
Yeah.
You have to understand what skills you have as a person that you can, give as a service. And I'll be honest with you, drawing is like something that, if you're like me and you've done it all your life, you do have a love-hate relationship with it.
Mhm.
Because when you get going and you have a really good idea and you create something like Charity and those three wizards, three trustees, I don't know if we're still using that name.
Either one. They're trustees and wizards, and I think people need to know, because we're talking about them in a kind of a relative way. So let's just discuss that for 1 second. Charity has superpowers, and the superpowers stem from these three trustee wizards. That's Chigaro, Pithecus, and Cratius.
Correct.
And those are named as a result of what they do, what they use, what the social charity devices that they use to create change. So Chigaro is charitable gift annuities. Pithecus is pooled income funds, and Cratius is charitable remainder trusts. So there's a that's the way I remember them anyway.
Yes.
So, but people need to know what they do, and they change the world by getting people to use those social charity devices to create charitable wealth, and that's what Charity is doing. She's changing the world that way. So you're drawing that, and you've drawn from that from all of our conversations and all of that experience. And
yes, and I will admit, like, as an artist, you have to work with what you've gotten, especially what you know personally, especially from all your experiences, like based on where you've been, what you've done, especially who you've met. Like Pithecus, that was based off of you.
I know, I'm not happy about that, but that's okay. You could have made it better looking. But, yeah, Pithecus is that little guy on the right there. Yeah,
I was aiming for sort of like that adorable, like alien teddy bear look.
Okay, all right, I appreciate that.
Yeah, something you just, someone you just want to cuddle.
Well, folks should cuddle Pithecus. Pithecus is very powerful. Pooled income funds are really good.
Maybe down the line when we're like really famous, we'll have like merchandise and have some like those wizards is like stuff.
It's not that far away. We're going to be famous pretty soon, I hope.
Here's hoping.
Yeah, Guido, thank you very much for joining us this morning on Route 664, the Road to Human Kindness. Guido Gonzalez, our resident creative genius and illustrator. Yeah, I know you don't like genius. Our resident creative mind that is very valuable to us, and we appreciate your help very much on the project.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. And we're joined once more now by our good friend Joe Gabris. Joe is the ambassador for the Aventura Sunny Isles Beach Chamber of Commerce. Joe, are you there? Oh, Joe's disappeared. Okay. That's fine. That's no problem. We'll talk a little bit about the Chamber of Commerce tomorrow. We're having a luncheon to honor to remember 9/11, and yeah, it's 20 years and quite an event that changed this country forever and changed the world forever in essence. But it also at the time it brought everybody together in a common cause and raised the philanthropic thoughts of everybody who wanted to help everybody else, and it was very, very significant at that time. I remember people wearing flags, and everybody was in love with everybody else. And as time goes by, you kind of drift away from that feeling, but I think we need to get it back today. There's enough happening. It's not as significant as that, but there are things that are happening in the world today that we need to be caring about each other. And that's what this is all about, the year of human kindness. Social charity devices, the pooled income funds, charitable gift annuities, charitable oriented trusts in your planning. They're very powerful tools. If you don't know about them, you need to learn about them. That's what we're all about here. We want you to understand how to use those devices and to work with a professional philanthropic advisor. And you can find those advisors on our website at socialcharity.org. Find an advisor at socialcharity.org. And don't forget to tune into our radio program where you'll hear these interviews replayed on a regular rotating basis. That is at route664.org/radio. route664.org/radio. That will take you right to the radio station 24/7, and you can play that in your place of business. The music is great, and so is the chatter from time to time that we're presenting to you in order to change the way things are done here in this country and around the world through philanthropy. Thank you very much for joining us this morning on Route 664, the road to human kindness, and thank all of our guests for being with us today. Thank you.